This is Gennady Golovkin at 9 years old. That's a shiner and that's a you-know-what in his hands. Triple G was known as boxing's quiet assassin. His appearance was likened to a choir boy, but once he stepped into the ring, he was feral. This photo went viral back in the days, but few people know the story behind it, because by the time this picture was taken, Golovkin had already learned the lesson that would define the rest of his life. Golovkin was born on the 8th of April 1982 in Karaganda, Kazakhstan, a coal mining city in the middle of nowhere, built by Soviet prisoners. His father worked in the mines. His mother, who was Korean, kept the family together through what was a rough and unforgiving childhood. His family consisted of two older brothers, Sergey and Vadim, plus a twin, Max. It was Sergey and Vadim who put him on this path, and not gently. They'd take the 6-year-old Golovkin out onto the street of Karaganda and pick fights for him against grown men. They'd ask, "Are you afraid?" "No," he'd reply. 6 years old, and that's already the answer. This would happen on a daily basis, and it's where he gets his confidence, as he seems to offer many of his opponents street fights.
Sport. Not this, not street fight. You want street fight? Let's go. I show you right now.
I'm ready for street fight. Like street fight.
He said his first real memory of boxing was watching Mike Tyson tapes with his brothers. That's where the love started. Then the same year as that photo was taken, Sergey and Vadim get called up to serve in the Soviet army. Neither of them came home. Golovkin has talked about this maybe twice in his entire career. In 2017, he simply said, "They didn't come back. These are the memories I don't want to have." For a guy who'll happily talk about boxing until the cows come home, this is one door he keeps locked. And if you're wondering why Golovkin fights the way he does, walking forward, never flinching, absorbing everything you throw at him without so much as blinking, you don't have to wonder that hard anymore. This is a man who learned as a child that the worst possible things have already happened, and it wasn't in the ring. He stayed close to Max, his twin, through all of it. He started boxing at the age of 8, 3 years into the gym and straight into elite amateur competition. 2003 was the breakout year for Golovkin in the amateur scene. In the World Championships in Thailand, he knocked down Matt Karabov with ease. He also beat Andy Lee with ease, and then stopped Lucien Bute to secure a gold medal. All three went on to become world champions. Over the next 2.5 years, 2 more golds, a silver and a bronze. Wins over guys who'd go on to be world-class pros. By the time he turns over, his amateur record sits at an absurd 345-5 with a silver medal at the Olympics. His pro career starts in Germany. Nothing glamorous, but this is where Triple G gets sharpened into the fighting machine we love. His first fight was done inside 2 minutes. He built up a record of 18-0 and was now looking for a world title shot. Universum, the promotional entity that signed Golovkin, also had 2 other world champions, Felix Sturm and Sebastian Zabik. In theory, no problem with making the fights right. You would have thought correctly, but both were protected by Universal. Do you blame them? Check this dirty knockout.
Оба! Левый боковой.
And this. And this. He left the promotional company and travelled to America, and this is where it stops being a prospect story and starts being a horror movie for middleweights. Prosker, Rosado, Macklin, Murray, Monroe Jr., Lemieux, name after name, all legitimate, all durable, and Golovkin walked through every single one of them. They weren't lucky knockouts, they were systematic ones. Then London 2016 against Kell Brook, a welterweight world champion in his own right, stepping up 2 divisions, and this was probably the scariest Golovkin's record ever sounded.
As a professional, also a perfect record. 35 fights, 35 victories, including 32 wins by knockout, including 22 consecutive KOs, and he has KO'd every opponent he's faced over the last 8 years.
For about 2 rounds, Brook boxed beautifully, and then Golovkin, completely unbothered, switches gears and breaks Brook's eye socket, resulted in Brook's corner having to pull him out. Triple G looked unbeatable, and it seemed his reign would never end, but we forgot he was now 34 years old, and Father Time waits for no man. His next fight was against the dangerous Danny Jacobs. He was huge at 160 pounds. This was the first time Golovkin had gone the full 12. He won the cards, but Triple G looked more hittable and slower than we'd ever seen him before. It seemed like Father Time was catching up with him. Then we get to the part that most Yanks remember about Triple G, the Canelo rivalry. Triple G had been calling out Canelo for years. This resulted in 3 fights, 1 rivalry that defined a decade of boxing. Fight 1, 2017, a draw that most people watching thought Golovkin won. Undone by 1 scorecard so wide, it's still a punchline today. Fight 2 was delayed by a year after Canelo failed a drug test. The result was Canelo taking a tight decision, which I still think Triple G won. Fight 3, 2022, and a fresher, sharper Canelo closes the door for good. 3 fights and Golovkin never once looked rattled. He's never been stopped, never been dropped, and never looked remotely hurt. And in a career that was built on absorbing punishment, those stats are really impressive. And if it was a lesser fighter, his career would have ended a long time ago. These days, he's taken a step away from the ring, more involved in amateur boxing. Serving as acting president, he's more or less fully retired now. Nothing official, but with his role in amateur boxing, I can't see him stepping away for 8 to 10 weeks or a training camp. But who knows, crazy things happen in boxing. Above it all, the realest thing about Golovkin was never the knockouts. It was a 9-year-old kid with a black eye deciding the answer to "Are you afraid?" would always be no. No matter what. Anyways guys, thank you for watching. It's highly appreciated. Like and subscribe for more boxing content. This is Punch Fiction, signing off.